One, sir, I'm looking at it. It is a first-class job. How long did it take you?
It took about just over 2 hours. There was 2 other people involved, but I didn't do it entirely on my own. But it took about two or 3 hours to do it.
It's a fantastic job. I'm looking at a photograph in it in the Daily Telegraph. How long was it in position until the local authority or the old bill came a-calling, Mr. Phillips?
4 days.
And then what happened?
Well, suddenly a large lorry appeared and started to wash it off. And, it was only marker paint. It wasn't proper road paint, and so it took very little to remove it. And it took them about an hour to take it away. And that was the end of that. But in the 4 days, we had it as a kind of proper crossing, if you like. It had worked. The cars approached it much more slowly. They stopped for people who wanted to cross the road. And it made a big difference. And we still haven't got a proper crossing. And we have a reluctant council who... keep saying that safety is their highest concern, but they don't actually act to demonstrate. And I'm afraid actions speak louder than words.
Why is it necessary? Obviously your wife uses a wheelchair. Is it a very busy road you live on, Phillips?
It's not. It's round the corner from the road I live on, but effectively it's the main route to Muddyford Quay, which is a hugely popular location for people to come to, both locally and from out of the area, and it has a very high volume of traffic, certainly in the summer, and when it's busy, it's very difficult to cross the road, and more to the point, where the drop curbs have been placed, it's actually a blind corner. You can't see cars coming, and it is hazardous. Yes. And it's not just for, disabled people. I've seen many times mothers with babies and prams anxiously standing, looking up the road to see whether or not a car's going to come down and kill them all, and then hustle across the road at the maximum speed and be very relieved when they get to the other side. It's just not okay.
Had the local authority ever indicated it would put in a pedestrian crossing, or what was its stance?
Well, it's complicated. It started back in 2016 when we first got a buggy, and we discovered, because we didn't think about it, that there were no drop curbs, so you couldn't even, you weren't able to take the buggy anywhere because you couldn't get across the road at all. And it took 10 months to get the drop curbs put in, and that was by Dorset County Council. Well, subsequently to that, of course, the three councils, there was been a big change in Dorset about all the councils, and Christchurch and Bournemouth and Poole were all amalgamated. And a vote, an interestingly thing, was that a vote was taken as to what everybody wanted, and it was 87.5% of people in Christchurch didn't want to join up, because I think everybody felt they were going to get the short end of the stick. Yeah. And I think by and large that's probably what has happened. There are 76 councillors on the BCP council, and there are 8 that are Christchurch councillors.
Oh, gosh. OK, I see where you are. OK, so what happens now?
Well, I'm very grateful that, we've unwittingly got all this publicity, because, I think the only way we're going to get any action is from the public supporting us, or anybody supporting us, in terms of the fact that we need a safe road. We need safety to cross the road.
Yeah,
it's a very busy road. In times of the year, it's absolutely manic, and it's really extraordinary that it's never been put in. The argument that's used against it is it's too expensive.
Can I ask you lastly, I'm not being cheeky, do you think that was £130 well spent then? In that, you should not have been fined, I'm not supporting it, but it has got the cause, really abroad. Everyone's talking about it.
Well, that's a huge surprise. I'd decided that eventually I would tell my story. I'd not wanted it publicised in the hope that we could negotiate something that would actually work. But, in the end, you get to the point where it's just impossible.
Well, you have... congratulations to you, sir. I think it's hideous that you've been fined in that fashion. Maybe they needed to have a word, and maybe they needed to then look into it. I appreciate otherwise you'll have people painting pedestrian crossings all over the country. But good luck to you and your campaign. My best wishes to your wife.